Admiral Kang Daeho stood on the bridge of the massive warship Eternal Dominion. The old warrior had gray hair and deep scars across his blue-scaled face. He had fought in 40 battles during his long career serving the Galactic Empire. Today was supposed to be another boring patrol mission in the empty space near the galaxy's edge. "Admiral, I'm picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Yoon Ji-woo from her position at the sensor station. The young woman's crystal-like skin glowed brighter when she was nervous, and right now she was shining like a small star. "What kind of strange?" Kang Daeho walked over to look at her screens. In all his years, he had learned to trust his officers when they sensed trouble. Yoon Ji-woo pointed at the display with a shaking finger. "There's a ship out there, sir, but the computer says it can't exist." Commander Park Woo-jin, a tall reptilian officer with green scales, moved closer to examine the readings. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the data. "Show me the energy patterns." The screen filled with impossible numbers. The detected ship was generating power levels that should have torn it apart. Its engines were bending space in ways that violated every law of physics the Empire knew. Most disturbing of all, the ship's design matched something from the old archives, something that should have been forgotten centuries ago. "Run the pattern through the historical database," Park Woo-jin ordered. He had always been interested in ancient history, especially the dark periods the Empire preferred not to discuss. Kang Daeho felt a cold chill run down his spine as the computer displayed its results. The ship design was human, but that was impossible. Humans had vanished from the galaxy 300 years ago. They had simply disappeared one day, leaving behind empty colonies and abandoned space stations. Most species believed they had died out or destroyed themselves. "Sir, the energy signature is moving," Yoon Ji-woo reported. "It's not following any known flight pattern." On the main screen they could see a dark shape against the stars. It was huge, at least twice the size of their own battleship. Strange lights pulsed along its hull in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The ship seemed to flicker in and out of existence as if it couldn't decide whether to be real or not. "All ships, battle stations," Kang Daeho commanded. "This is Admiral Kang to all vessels in the fleet. We have an unknown contact. Prepare for possible hostile action." The Imperial fleet consisted of 12 heavy cruisers and 30 smaller ships. They had enough firepower to destroy an entire planet. But as they moved to surround the strange vessel, something impossible happened. The human ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" Kang Daeho demanded. "It's still there, sir," Yoon Ji-woo said, her voice barely a whisper. "The sensors show it in the same location, but my eyes can't see it anymore." Park Woo-jin was frantically checking his instruments. "Admiral, this ship is using technology we don't understand. It's still broadcasting energy, but it's somehow invisible to our optical sensors." Suddenly the ship reappeared, but now it was in a completely different position, directly above their fleet. No ship could move that fast. It should have taken hours to travel that distance, even with the best Imperial engines. "How did it get there?" Kang Daeho asked, but nobody had an answer. A new voice spoke from the communication station. "Admiral, we're receiving a message." "It's in old human language." The message was short and simple. "We remember, we return. We are no longer the same." Before anyone could respond, the human ship disappeared again. This time it was completely gone. No energy signature, no trace of its existence. Only the recorded sensor data proved it had ever been there at all. Far away, hidden behind a small asteroid, Captain Lee So-young watched through her ship's sensors. She was one of the few humans still operating in Imperial space, working as a smuggler and information gatherer. Her small ship Quiet Fox was disguised to look like a common cargo vessel. Lee So-young had seen everything. The massive human battleship, the confused Imperial fleet, the demonstration of impossible technology. She knew what this meant, and she knew what she had to do. "Computer, set course for the sanctuary systems," she said quietly. "Maximum speed, silent running." Her ship's artificial intelligence responded in a calm voice. "Course plotted, Captain. Estimated travel time, 43 days. Send a priority message to Admiral Shin," she continued. "Tell him the sleepers have awakened. The Empire has seen us. It's time for Protocol Genesis." As her ship jumped into hyperspace, Lee So-young thought about her brother Dong-wook, who commanded the hidden human fleet. For 3 centuries, humanity had been preparing for this moment. They had developed new technologies, built secret bases, and waited for the right time to return. The Empire thought humans were weak and primitive. They thought humans had disappeared because they couldn't survive in the harsh galaxy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Back on the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Kang Daiho was sending his own reports to Imperial headquarters. He knew the High Command would not believe what had happened. A human ship with impossible technology? It sounded like a story told to frighten children. But Commander Park Woo-jin was already searching through the old archives, looking for any information about human capabilities before their disappearance. What he found made his blood run cold. Humans had once been considered the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Their technology advanced faster than any other race. They had been on the verge of breakthroughs that could change the nature of reality itself. The current Galactic Empire had been formed specifically to contain human expansion, and then they had vanished, just when they were becoming too powerful to control. "Admiral," Park Woo-jin said slowly, "I think we need to warn the Emperor. If humans are back and if they've been developing their technology for 300 years in secret," he didn't need to finish the sentence. They all understood what it meant. The galaxy was about to change forever. In the depths of space, hidden fleets began to stir. Secret bases powered up their systems. Messages traveled through hidden networks. Across 1,000 star systems, humans prepared to reveal themselves after centuries of hiding. The Empire had no idea what was coming. The greatest shock in galactic history was about to begin. Emperor No Hyun-soo had ruled the Galactic Empire for over 800 years. His body was kept alive by advanced medical technology, though his mind remained sharp and cruel. He sat on his crystal throne in the heart of the imperial palace, surrounded by advisors who feared him more than death itself. The emergency council meeting had been called in the middle of the night. High Admiral Kim Tae-ri stood before the throne, her forearms crossed in the traditional military salute. Her insect-like features showed no emotion, but those who knew her could see the worry in her compound eyes. "Tell me again about this human ship," the Emperor said. His voice was like grinding metal. Admiral Kang Daeho's report had reached the capital within hours. The message was simple but terrifying. Humans were back and they had technology that made the Empire's finest ships look like children's toys. Dr. Choi Min-ho stepped forward. The elderly scientist had spent his entire life studying the history of the galaxy. His pale skin and large eyes marked him as one of the scholar race, beings known for their perfect memory and analytical minds. "Your Majesty," Dr. Choi began, "I have reviewed all historical records about humans. The data is disturbing." The Emperor leaned forward. "Explain." 3 centuries ago, when humans vanished, they were already the most advanced species in the galaxy. Their rate of technological development was exponential. They were discovering new scientific principles every few years. Other species needed decades or centuries to make similar progress. General Han Yuri, commander of the Imperial Special Forces, spoke up. "But they disappeared. They abandoned their colonies and left the galaxy. Surely that proves they were weak." Dr. Choi shook his head. "I don't think they left, General. I think they hid. Look at this data." The holographic display showed human population numbers over time. Before their disappearance, humans had populated over 2,000 worlds. Their colonies were thriving, their technology advancing rapidly. The disappearance was too organized, Dr. Choi continued. Every human colony was abandoned on the same day. Every human ship vanished simultaneously. That level of coordination requires massive planning and advanced communication systems. High Admiral Kim Tae-ri studied the data. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "I believe humans didn't disappear because they were weak. They disappeared because they were becoming too powerful. They saw what was happening in the galaxy, how other species were forming alliances against them. So they retreated to develop their technology in secret." The Emperor's ancient face twisted with rage. "Are you telling me that for 300 years humans have been hiding somewhere, building weapons to use against my empire?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you, Your Majesty." The council chamber fell silent. The thought was too terrible to consider. If humans had been advancing their technology for 3 centuries without interference, they could have developed capabilities beyond imagination. Commander Park Woo-jin entered the chamber, carrying data tablets filled with new intelligence reports. His reptilian features were pale with fear. "Your Majesty, we have a problem. Our deep space sensors have detected human ships in 12 different star systems. All of them appeared at the same time exactly 6 hours ago. High Admiral Kim Tae-ree's compound eyes widened. 12 systems? That's impossible. No fleet can cover that much territory. The ships appeared simultaneously across a distance of 50,000 light-years, Park Woo-jin reported. Either they have instantaneous travel technology, or they have far more ships than we realized. General Han Yuri stepped forward. I can mobilize the special forces. We'll hunt down these human ships and destroy them before they can threaten the Empire. Dr. Choi Min-ho looked at her sadly. General, with respect, I don't think you understand what we're facing. The ship that Admiral Kang encountered displayed technology that breaks the laws of physics as we know them. It vanished and reappeared instantly. It generated power levels that should have destroyed it. If humans have had 3 centuries to develop such technology further, he didn't need to finish. Everyone in the room understood. The Emperor stood from his throne, his ancient body trembling with fury. I will not let some primitive species threaten my empire. High Admiral Kim, mobilize every ship we have. I want 50,000 vessels ready for combat within 1 week. Your Majesty, Kim Tae-ree said carefully. 50,000 ships is our entire military force. If we deploy them all in one place, we'll leave the rest of the Empire defenseless. Then we'll finish this quickly, the Emperor snarled. Find these humans and destroy them before they can spread their influence. But even as the orders went out, more reports were coming in. Human ships had been spotted near major trade routes. Several Imperial patrols had encountered vessels that displayed impossible capabilities. Most disturbing of all, some Imperial colonies were reporting that their human populations, descendants of slaves taken centuries ago, were beginning to act strangely. Director, Omi Young received these reports in her secret base, hidden inside an asteroid belt. She was the head of the Human Intelligence Network, and she had been preparing for this day for decades. Humans hadn't just been developing technology during their exile. They had been placing agents throughout the Empire. The descendants of human slaves had never forgotten their heritage. Over the centuries, they had formed secret networks, passing information and waiting for the day their people would return. Now that day had come. Send the activation signal, Omi Young ordered. All sleeper agents are to reveal themselves and begin Phase 2 operations. Across the Empire, humans who had lived quiet lives as farmers, merchants, and even government officials suddenly became active. They sabotaged communications networks, gathered intelligence on Imperial military movements, and prepared to assist the returning human fleets. The Empire was discovering that the enemy wasn't just outside their borders, it was already inside, and it had been there all along. Back in the Imperial Palace, the Emperor was reviewing deployment orders when another message arrived. This one came directly from the human ship that had first been detected. The message was simple but chilling. We gave you 300 years of peace. You wasted them. Now we return to reclaim what was stolen from us. Surrender the systems that were once ours and no harm will come to your people. Refuse and learn why the galaxy once feared humanity. The Emperor crushed the message tablet in his hands. Mobilize everything, he ordered. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. I want these humans destroyed completely. But deep in his ancient heart, No Hyun-soo felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. The humans were back. And they were no longer the primitive species the Empire remembered. They had become something far more dangerous, and they were coming home. Admiral Shin Dong-wook stood in the command center of the hidden base called Haven Prime. The massive facility was built inside a hollow moon, invisible to Imperial sensors. For 300 years, it had been the secret heart of human civilization in exile. Dong-wook was a tall man, with gray streaked hair and intelligent eyes. As commander of the human defense fleet, he carried the weight of his entire species' survival on his shoulders. Today, that weight felt heavier than ever. Sir, we've received Captain Lee's message, reported his aide, a young woman named Kim Soo-jin. The Empire has detected the silent thunder. They know we're back. Dong-wook nodded slowly. His sister, so young, had done her job perfectly. The Imperial fleet had seen exactly what they were meant to see. A glimpse of human technology that would terrify them without revealing its true scope. Activate Protocol Genesis, he commanded. Send the signal to all hidden fleets. It's time to come home. Across the galaxy, artificial asteroids began to crack open like eggs. Space stations that had appeared to be abandoned ruins suddenly came to life. Ships that had been hiding in the hearts of dead planets emerged into the light of distant stars. The human defense fleet wasn't just a few dozen ships. It was thousands of vessels, each one incorporating 3 centuries of advanced development. They had been waiting patiently in the dark corners of space, preparing for this moment. Dr. Lim Hee-jin hurried into the command center, carrying a datapad filled with technical readings. She was the lead scientist for Project Ascension, humanity's greatest technological achievement. "Admiral, all ships are reporting ready status," she said. "The quantum drives are functioning perfectly. Our vessels can travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly." Dong-wook studied the tactical display. Red dots showed Imperial fleet movements. They were mobilizing everything they had, just as expected. Blue dots showed human ships emerging from hiding all across the galaxy. The Empire was about to get the shock of their lives. "Doctor, explain to me again how the new drives work," Dong-wook said. He was a military man, not a scientist, but he needed to understand what his ships could do. Dr. Lim smiled. "We've learned to manipulate space-time itself, Admiral. Our ships don't travel through space, they fold space around themselves. Distance becomes meaningless. We can appear anywhere we choose instantly. And the weapons? We've harnessed the power of miniature stars. Each of our battleships carries a contained stellar core that provides unlimited energy. Our weapons don't just destroy targets, they can disable them surgically, leaving crews alive while making ships completely helpless." Captain Bae Sung-ho entered the command center, still wearing his flight suit. He had just returned from the first test of the new technology against an Imperial patrol. His ship Prometheus Rising was the most advanced vessel in the human fleet. "Admiral, the field test was a complete success," Bae reported. "We encountered an Imperial squadron of 8 heavy cruisers. I disabled all of them in less than 3 minutes without causing a single casualty." "How did they react?" Bae grinned. "Total panic, sir. They sent distress signals claiming they were under attack by ghosts. Their weapons couldn't even target us properly. Our phase-shifting technology made us appear to flicker in and out of existence." Director Oh Mi-young appeared on the main communication screen. She was broadcasting from her secret base, coordinating intelligence operations across the Empire. "Admiral, our agents report that the Emperor has mobilized 50,000 ships," she said. "They're heading toward the border systems where our ships first appeared. The Imperial fleet should arrive in 6 days." Dong-wook considered this information. 50,000 ships was the Empire's entire military force. They were committing everything to this battle, which meant they were either very confident or very desperate. "What about civilian populations?" he asked. "Any sign that they're targeting human communities?" "Some harassment, but nothing systematic yet," Oh Mi-young replied. "However, our sleeper agents report that Imperial forces are beginning to round up humans in several systems. They're treating them as potential security threats." Dong-wook's expression hardened. One of humanity's core principles was protecting innocent life, including their own people who had remained in Imperial space. If the Empire wanted to threaten civilians, they would learn why that was a mistake. "Begin Phase 2 operations," he ordered. "All fleet commanders are authorized to protect human populations by any means necessary. But remember, we're not here to conquer. We're here to reclaim what was stolen and ensure our people's safety." The tactical display updated as human ships began moving toward Imperial territories. Each blue dot represented technology so advanced that entire Imperial fleets would be helpless against a single human. Vessel Dr. Lim Hee-jin pulled up another display, showing the technical capabilities of human ships. "Admiral, I should mention that we've also developed defensive technologies the Empire can't counter. Our shields don't just deflect attacks, they absorb energy and redirect it. An Imperial fleet shooting at us would only make us stronger." "What about their planet-killing weapons?" Dong-wook asked. "The Empire was known to destroy entire worlds when they faced serious resistance. Ineffective against our technology," Dr. Lim replied confidently. "We can create localized space-time distortions that redirect any attack back at its source. If they try to destroy a planet, they'll only destroy themselves." Captain Bae Sung-ho was studying the fleet movements. "Admiral, I recommend we divide our forces. Send one group to intercept the Imperial fleet before they can threaten civilian populations. Deploy another group to liberate the systems that were originally human colonies." Dong-wook agreed. "Make it so. But remember our rules of engagement. Disable, don't destroy. We want the Empire to understand our capabilities, not start a war of extinction." As orders went out to the human fleet, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. Imperial governors were abandoning outer colonies. Trade routes were shutting down. Panic was spreading through the Empire faster than any fleet could travel. The truth was becoming clear. Humanity hadn't just survived their exile. They had evolved into something beyond the Empire's ability to comprehend or combat. On the bridge of Prometheus Rising, Captain Bay prepared for the next phase of operations. His ship could appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly, strike with the power of a star and vanish before the enemy could react. He had 30 ships just like it under his command. All vessels prepare for tactical deployment, he announced. Target Imperial Fleet Group 7, currently threatening the Kepler colony. Mission: disable all ships and rescue human civilians. Rules of engagement: minimal force, maximum mercy. The human fleet began to move, their ships flickering through space-time like phantoms. The Empire was about to learn that their 3-century-old mistake was coming back to haunt them, and this time, humanity was no longer running away. Vice Admiral Jung Subin watched in horror as her entire fleet was torn apart by a single human ship. The Eternal Wanderer moved through space like a living nightmare, appearing and disappearing at will. Every time it fired, another Imperial cruiser went dark, its weapons and engines completely destroyed while the crew remained unharmed. All ships, concentrate fire on the target, Jung Subin ordered desperately. She commanded 200 of the Empire's finest warships, armed with weapons that could crack planets. But their attacks passed harmlessly through empty space as the human vessel phased in and out of normal reality. The Eternal Wanderer stopped moving and hung motionless in space. Then something impossible happened. The space around it began to bend and twist. A small black hole appeared next to the Imperial flagship, its gravity well pulling the massive ship helplessly toward destruction. "Emergency jump," Jung Subin screamed, but her navigation officer shook his head. "The gravity distortion is blocking our hyperspace engines," he reported. "We can't escape." Just as the Imperial ship was about to be crushed, the black hole vanished. The Eternal Wanderer sent a simple message: "Surrender your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your complete destruction." Jung Subin had no choice. Within minutes, her entire fleet was helpless, their weapons disabled by technology that seemed like magic. Small human shuttles appeared from nowhere, carrying boarding parties to examine the Imperial ships. The humans who came aboard were nothing like the primitive species Jung Subin remembered from history books. They wore advanced armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Their weapons were sleek devices that hummed with contained energy. Most disturbing of all, they treated the Imperial crews with polite respect, as if disabling a fleet of 200 ships was just another day's work. "I'm Commander Lee Minwoo," said the human boarding party leader. "We're here to inspect your vessels for compliance with Galactic Peace Accords. Any Imperial personnel who wish to leave military service will be transported to neutral worlds. Those who choose to remain will be released unharmed." Jung Subin stared at him in disbelief. "You're offering us a choice?" "Of course," Lee Minwoo replied. "We're not conquerors. We're liberators. Your empire has kept this galaxy in fear for centuries. We're here to offer something better." Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Imperial fleets that had taken weeks to assemble were being disabled in minutes by individual human ships. The technology gap was so enormous that it wasn't even a fair fight. Ambassador Ryu Jae-sung arrived at the human-controlled system of New Terra, carrying the Empire's first official diplomatic message. His ship, flying flags of truce, was escorted by a human vessel that seemed to exist partially outside normal space. The human ship Infinite Dawn was unlike anything Ryu had ever seen. It was massive, easily 10 times the size of an Imperial dreadnought, but it moved with impossible grace. Parts of its hull seemed to fade in and out of visibility, as if the ship existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "This is President Moon Yoon-seo of the Human Coalition Government," came a calm voice over the communication system. "Ambassador Ryu, you are welcome to board our vessel for negotiations." Ryu found himself in a shuttle bay that defied physics. The space inside was larger than the external dimensions of the ship should have allowed. Human crew members walked on surfaces that seemed to be walls or ceilings from his perspective, yet they all appeared to be standing upright. President Moon Yoon-seo was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and an aura of quiet authority. She greeted Ryu in a conference room with walls that showed views of distant galaxies. "Ambassador," she said, "your empire has sent 50,000 ships to attack our people. We've disabled most of them without causing casualties. We hope this demonstrates our desire for peace. Ryu felt sweat forming on his scaled forehead. President Moon, the Emperor demands that all human forces withdraw from Imperial space immediately. In return, he offers to allow your people to settle in designated frontier territories. Moon Yunseo smiled sadly. Ambassador, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're not asking for permission to exist. We're informing you that the old order has ended. The galaxy belongs to all species equally, not just to your Emperor. You're declaring war on the Empire. We're declaring the end of the Empire, Moon Yunseo corrected. Look at this. The conference room walls changed to show star maps of the galaxy. Red zones showed Imperial-controlled territory, but those zones were shrinking rapidly. Blue zones, representing human-liberated systems, were expanding across the map. In the past week, 47 Imperial governors have surrendered their systems to human forces, Moon explained. Their populations are celebrating freedom from Imperial rule. Your own military is deserting in massive numbers, choosing to join our coalition rather than fight for a regime that offers only oppression. Ryu stared at the map in shock. The Empire was collapsing faster than anyone had thought possible. Colonel Quan In-Su led the most elite Special Forces unit in the Imperial military. His mission was to infiltrate and destroy a human shipyard that intelligence had located in the Vega system. His team consisted of 50 highly trained soldiers equipped with the Empire's most advanced stealth technology. They approached the target in a cloaked ship, confident that their mission would succeed. The human shipyard appeared to be a simple orbital platform with minimal defenses. This will be easy, Quan told his team. Plant the charges and evacuate. We'll show these humans that the Empire still has teeth. But as they prepared to board the station, a familiar face appeared on their communication screen. Engineer Song Hae-won had been working for the Empire for over a decade, providing technical expertise on human technology recovered from abandoned colonies. Colonel Quan, Song said with a smile, welcome to our facility. We've been expecting you. Quan felt his blood turn to ice. Song, what are you doing here? I've been working here for the past 5 years, Song replied. Did you really think a human engineer working for the Empire wasn't reporting back to her own people? Everything you thought you knew about human capabilities came from information I fed you, and all of it was carefully designed to make you underestimate us. The simple orbital platform suddenly revealed its true nature. Massive weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments, the space around Quan's ship filled with human vessels that materialized from nowhere. Your stealth technology is impressive, Song continued. But we've been tracking your ship since you entered this system. Our sensors can detect quantum signatures that your cloaking device can't hide. Quan's mission had become a trap. His elite team was surrounded by technology they couldn't comprehend or fight. Worse yet, the intelligence they had been using to plan operations against humans had been false from the beginning. Colonel, Song said gently, your men don't have to die today. Surrender your weapons and you'll be treated with honor. Continue this pointless resistance and face the consequences of attacking a coalition facility. Looking at his surrounded team and the hopeless tactical situation, Quan made the only rational choice. He ordered his soldiers to stand down. Back on the Imperial capital world, Emperor No Hyun-soo sat alone in his throne room, reading reports of defeat after defeat. His great fleet of 50,000 ships had been scattered and disabled. His special forces had been captured or had defected. Entire sectors of his empire were declaring independence and joining the human coalition. For the first time in 8 centuries, the emperor faced the possibility that his reign might end. And in the depths of space, more human ships continued to appear, each one carrying technology that made resistance seem futile. The empire's greatest fear was becoming reality. Humanity had returned and they were unstoppable. Fleet Admiral Cho Kyu-min stood on the bridge of the Infinite Dawn, humanity's greatest achievement in starship design. The massive vessel existed partially outside normal space-time, making it effectively invulnerable to any conventional attack. Through the dimensional windows, he could see the remnants of the Imperial fleet floating helplessly in space. The final battle had lasted exactly 17 minutes. 50,000 Imperial ships, the pride of an empire that had ruled for 8 centuries, had been disabled without a single human casualty. More importantly, the Imperial crews were alive and unharmed, a deliberate choice that demonstrated humanity's true intentions. Admiral, reported Captain Kim Bora from the science station. All Imperial vessels have been successfully pacified. Their weapons are offline, but life support and basic systems remain functional. Estimated Imperial casualties 0. Cho Kyu-min nodded with satisfaction. Begin the revelation protocol. It's time they understood what we're really offering. Across the galaxy, human ships began broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was simple but revolutionary. The age of Imperial domination was over. In its place, humanity offered something the galaxy had never seen: true cooperation between all species. President Moon Yun-seo's image appeared on every communication screen in Imperial space. Her words were translated into thousands of languages as she addressed the entire galaxy. Citizens of all worlds, she began. Today marks the end of an era. For 800 years, the Galactic Empire has ruled through fear and oppression. Today we offer you freedom. The broadcast showed human technology in action, dead worlds being transformed into gardens in a matter of hours. Diseases that had plagued entire species for millennia being cured with a single treatment. Energy generators that could power entire star systems without consuming any resources. We don't seek to replace one empire with another, Moon continued. We offer partnership. Join the Galactic Cooperation Council and share in technologies that can eliminate poverty, disease, and war from the galaxy forever. On the Imperial capital world, former Emperor No Hyun-soo watched the broadcast from his private chambers. His throne room was empty now. His advisors had fled or surrendered to human forces. The ancient ruler who had commanded the fear of 1 trillion beings was now just a lonely old man, facing the end of everything he had built. A soft knock came at his door. He opened it to find a young human woman in the simple clothes of a diplomatic envoy. Emperor No, she said respectfully. I'm Ambassador Park Si-jin. President Moon would like to speak with you. No expected to be dragged away in chains, but the human woman simply waited politely for his response. Even in defeat, they were treating him with dignity. What does she want? He asked wearily. To offer you a choice, Lee Park Si-jin replied. The same choice we're offering everyone. They met in the palace gardens, a place where No had once walked as the master of the galaxy. President Moon Yun-seo sat on a simple bench, feeding small birds that had gathered around her. She looked up as the former emperor approached. Please sit, she said, gesturing to the bench beside her. We have much to discuss. No sat down carefully, still not quite believing this was real. You're not going to execute me? Why would we do that? Moon asked. You're a product of your time and circumstances. You ruled the only way you knew how. But now there's a better way. She showed him a small device that projected holographic images, worlds where different species worked together as equals, cities where humans, aliens, and artificial intelligences shared knowledge and resources, children of a dozen different races playing together in schools that taught cooperation instead of conquest. This is what we're building, Moon explained. Not a human empire, but a true galactic community. We've learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level, to travel instantly across vast distances, to cure any disease and solve any energy crisis. But our greatest achievement isn't technological, it's learning to share. No studied the images with growing amazement. And you would share this with former enemies? We would share it with everyone, Moon replied, including you if you choose to help us build this new galaxy. Scientist Kim Bora was working in her laboratory aboard the Infinite Dawn, making final preparations for humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. The Unity Protocol was a technology that allowed different species to share consciousness temporarily, creating unprecedented understanding between races. Admiral, she reported to Cho Kyu-min, the Unity Protocol is ready for galaxy-wide deployment. Once activated, any being who chooses to participate can experience life from the perspective of other species. Fear and hatred become impossible when you truly understand what others feel. The technology was voluntary. No one would be forced to participate, but initial tests had shown remarkable results. Imperial soldiers who had spent their lives fighting aliens became passionate advocates for peace after experiencing their former enemies' thoughts and emotions. Across the galaxy, the transformation was already beginning. Imperial colonies that had resisted human forces found themselves welcoming liberation when they saw what was being offered. Trade routes reopened as species that had been isolated under imperial rule began communicating freely. The imperial military was dissolving peacefully. Most soldiers simply abandoned their posts and returned home. Those who chose to continue serving found themselves recruited into the new Galactic Cooperation Council's peacekeeping forces, not to conquer worlds, but to protect them from external threats. Director Oh-Mi Young coordinated the massive logistical effort from her command center. The transition from empire to cooperation was happening faster than anyone had predicted. "Admiral Cho," she reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from over 3,000 Imperial systems. Most are asking for immediate assistance with food distribution, medical care, and infrastructure repair." The Empire was apparently in worse condition than we realized. Cho nodded grimly. "Begin relief operations immediately. No one should suffer because their leaders were incompetent." Human ships began appearing throughout former Imperial territory, but instead of conquest fleets, they carried medical supplies, food, and engineering teams. Worlds that had been neglected by the Empire found themselves receiving aid that transformed their societies overnight. On New Terra, the first session of the Galactic Cooperation Council was being organized. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to draft a new constitution based on equality and mutual aid, rather than domination and fear. Former Emperor No Hyun-soo arrived as a special advisor, having chosen to help build the new galaxy, rather than cling to the wreckage of the old one. His intimate knowledge of Imperial administration was proving invaluable in organizing the peaceful transition. "The hardest part isn't the technology," he told President Moon during a private meeting. "It's helping people believe that this new way is real. For 8 centuries, beings across the galaxy have known only fear and oppression. Teaching them to trust and cooperate will take time." Moon smiled. "We have time, and we have something the Empire never offered. Hope." The final scene played out on a small world that had once been a human colony. Children of a dozen different species played together in a park, while their parents worked side by side in research centers and factories. Above them, human ships patrolled the skies not as conquerors, but as guardians protecting the peaceful world from any who might threaten it. An elderly alien teacher watched the children play and remembered the dark days when his species had been slaves under Imperial rule. Now his own grandchildren were learning alongside humans, sharing knowledge and friendship that would have been impossible before. In the distance, construction robots were building new cities designed for multiple species to live together comfortably. The technology was human, but the plans had been created cooperatively by representatives from every world in the system. The teacher smiled as he saw a human child helping an alien friend who had fallen while playing. Such simple kindness, but it represented something the galaxy had never known before, a future where differences were celebrated instead of feared. Humanity had returned to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as teachers. They had learned during their long exile that true strength came not from dominating others, but from lifting them up. The age of empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and across 1 million worlds, beings who had never dared to dream of freedom were discovering what peace actually meant.